Hey everyone. I'm doing something a little different today. I guess you'll call this a vlog, a video log instead of a regular blog, which is written out. Um, why am I doing this? Well, I've had several ideas for blogs I wanted to do. Some of you who read a lot of my stuff have noticed I haven't posted in a while. I started writing a few, and I would get to a certain point in them and go, I don't want to be thinking about this right now. It's close to Christmas. I want to be happy. I don't want to be thinking about this, and I would just stop writing it. And then that kind of made me stop processing the feelings and thoughts that I was having. So I started my blog to be cathartic, to help me process issues I was having. And if I'm getting to a point where it's not doing that, it's doing the opposite, it's actually making it more difficult for me to process what I'm going through, then I kind of have to switch to something else. And I know I have friends who read my blogs and it's helped them with issues that they're having that I didn't even know they were having until later on they're like, hey, I read your stuff and I related to this and it made me feel better. And I really love to hear things like that. And that's one of the reasons that I've kept this going. I don't write my blog just for myself. I don't write it to complain. I've gotten people telling me that. You know, anything you do, there's going to be people who are like, oh, why are you doing this? Or you shouldn't be doing that. And that's fine. I don't really want to address critics, of course, but I want to help people. I want to help myself in the best way I know possible. And mostly that's been through writing. And now lately it hasn't been so much. So I find that I can be a little more expressive through talking sometimes. And it's not necessarily talking to somebody else. Sometimes it's just talking in general. I try talking to Kellen, and Kellen is an optimist, which I love about him because I'm the exact opposite, really. He's very cheerful, he's very hopeful, he has a lot of faith, and I've picked that up from him, no doubt. But sometimes it's not quite what I need when I'm struggling with something, so it doesn't help me. It's nice to know that he is so confident, but the confidence isn't quite wearing into me. So it's kind of like a dead end road. It didn't quite get me anywhere. And that's not to say that he's not helpful, because he is. He always is. I love him to death. He's very helpful. He's wonderful. He's been through all of the things I've been through with me and never missed a step. So I'm very grateful for him. The things I've been writing about is, again, a lot to do with this road to conception, which, obviously I've come very far. I lost a lot of weight, which is something that is recommended to women with PCOS. I had a lot of trouble with it in the past, but I've pretty much completely overhauled my diet and everything, and I lost quite a bit of weight. It's hard for me to put an exact number on it because my weight fluctuated a lot when I was heavier. My highest point ever was 192. So usually if someone wants me to put a number on it, I take that number and, go down to where I'm at now. So it's coming in, it's about 40 pounds roughly from that. And that, to me, that's insane. I never thought I would be able to lose that much weight at all, let alone to keep it off for this long. I started losing weight back in April. Obviously, it's December now, it's Christmas Eve. So, that's 8 months. 8 months where I haven't gained anything back and I've actually kept losing. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very happy for how healthy I've made myself. And I guess I'm at a point where it's like, I've done all this work. Why is the goal I'm shooting for not happening still? And that's really tough because I guess you hear so much even from being a kid, if you work hard, you're going to be able to do whatever you want. And once you get to be an adult, you realize that's not always the truth. By the way, my dog just came in, so if you hear barking, I apologize. I'm trying to pet him to keep him occupied. And you realize that that's not always true. You can work really hard for a goal you really want, but if it's an unrealistic goal, it's not going to happen. However, I think having my own family is not an unrealistic goal. I think it's something I can do. So it's kind of heartbreaking when you realize you've done all this work and what you want is still not coming. And, people say, be patient, it's going to happen. And it's already been 3 years. And I know I wrote a blog about that too, about 3 years in a lot of senses doesn't seem like a long time. When it comes to this, it really does. I've watched so many people I know have babies. I've watched people who said they never wanted kids have them. And it's like, why can't it be me too? Why can't I have that? And when there's no answer for that, it's so heartbreaking. You really don't have an answer. There's no reason why it's you. Why you're the one who's struggling with it. I know very few other people personally who are struggling with it, and I think that's part of what's so hard for me. There goes the dog. Is that, you hear that infertility is such a big problem and it's very prevalent, and it's hard for me knowing that out of my friends and acquaintances that I'm one of like a handful, less than 5, who are having a problem. That might be a sign of my age. I'm only 24. Most 24-year-olds don't have fertility problems, but hey, I do. And I've known this is going to be a problem, but it's a struggle, and a lot of times I feel alone. And even when I reach out to other people, I still feel alone. I don't know why that is. It's just kind of how I feel. I mentioned in a blog before that I went to Amanda with a lot of these issues because she knew she would be in a similar case if she ever decided she wanted to have children. She was more leaning towards adopting because she didn't really think she wanted to carry her own child and everything like that. But she knew, if she were ever to make the decision that she wanted to have her own children, that she would have the same issues because her and I shared some of the same lady problems, as we called them. And so Amanda was my best friend. She still is. I love her to death. Even though I can't see her anymore, I know that she's still there for me. But it's hard when I can't talk to her face to face about this and say, I'm struggling. I don't know what to do right now. And that she always had the right thing to say every single time. So it's really hard being without her, and I really, really miss her. So I've mostly been talking to myself like this, and it actually helps. Lately, I said that I was using ovulation tests, which I liked for the first couple months. Now it should have been coming positive about now, and it's not, and I'm getting frustrated and angry, and I would show them to you, because apparently that's a thing, to like show all the lines on them and all that crap, whether they mean anything or not. But I've been breaking them and throwing them out in fits of rage because that's what I do. It makes me feel better. Well, for a time, and then I get angry again. So that's another thing that's kind of been bringing me down, because when I had it kind of all scheduled out, I was like, oh, I should be ovulating like on Christmas, and now I'm like, oh, well, now I'm not. So it's really upsetting. It's like, Christmas miracle baby. Probably not gonna happen. And that's upsetting because, like I said, it's around Christmas and I really don't want to be thinking about this or feeling this way. I really thought by now I would have a kid to spoil at Christmas, and I don't. I have my dog and my cat, and I have Kellen, of course. But it's not the same, and it's really upsetting. It's just been such a long time where I'm just thinking, maybe this year, maybe that year, and the years come and go, and every year it gets harder. And, it's one of those things you hear a lot, time heals any wound, but this is one of those things that the longer it goes, the more difficult it becomes. And I know I'm only 24, and I get that a lot. You have a lot of time, but obviously, if I'm having these problems now, I don't have a lot of time. And I want it to happen. I know I'm doing everything in my power to make it happen. I know people tell me, oh, you can go to doctors and they can do this and that. And the thing is for me, that's where I draw the line. I don't want all these drugs in my system. I don't want it to be an artificial thing. If it can't happen on my own, I don't want to put myself through any of that stuff. I think The dog is on my lap now, so you might see his face soon. Koopo. There he is. Say hi, Koopsie. Say hi. Who's a cutie pie? Yeah, he's wearing a sweater because he gets very cold because he's a little guy. I went through so much medicinally when I had my first miscarriage that I decided then, and I told Kellen, I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm going to be in doctor's offices all the time trying to deal with this. I can't do it. It's too heartbreaking. It's too stressful. I don't want to do it. And I've never backed down from that decision. There are decisions I made when I first miscarried that I've thrown out the window. I'm like, no, I was just not thinking rationally. And, those decisions being thrown out were for the best. So, no harm there. But this one I've never backed down from. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to take fertility medication. I don't want to do in vitro fertilization. I don't want any of that. And that's just me personally. And, that's my decision. So, I'm not going to back down from that. I don't want any further information on it. That's what it is for me. The other thing that I've been trying to put it off in my mind and overall in general is that Kellen and I decided about 6 months ago that if we made it to our 3rd wedding anniversary and I still wasn't pregnant and we still didn't have any kids, that we would seriously start looking into adoption, because there are adoption agencies around here that their requirement is being married 3 years. So we're just about to hit that in about 3 months here. And I'm really scared of doing it on one hand because to me it feels like I'm admitting that it's not going to happen for me and I don't want to do that. I'm not ready to say I'm done yet. And I don't know if I ever will be ready to say I'm done. I think I will always keep trying, even if I am adopting a baby. If I know that, this baby's going to be born in 5 days and that's mine, I think I would still be trying to get pregnant. I think it's something I'm never going to consciously give up on. And for me, that's a good thing because there's so many things that I start doing and realize, oh, this is too hard or this is probably not going to happen. And I switch gears and I go to something else, even if it's something I don't really want. I know that about myself and I know I need to stop doing it. So in this case where I am so tenacious about it and I really want it, that even if it's pretty much hopeless, I'm not going to give up. That's an amazing stride for me. You have no idea. On the other hand, I'm extremely scared of not looking into adoption. I don't want to wait forever to have some of my questions answered. And really at this point, that's what it would be, is, meeting with an agency or two and saying, I have these questions. What can you tell me about this? What can you tell me about that? And being very frank about it, not sugarcoating anything, because there are things I just want to know. And the thing is right now in my job, I work with a child who is part of a very large adoptive family. The parents have adopted several children. They're a wonderful family. I love working with them. They are such a huge inspiration to me. Like, they don't even know. Just to see how much of a loving home they've created with these kids who have come from a million different backgrounds. And I'm like, who's to say I couldn't do that? Why am I telling myself that that's not what I want? Because I have worked with kids from so many backgrounds, but that's the thing, I've worked with them. I haven't lived with them. I haven't raised them. I've worked in daycares and after school programs and summer school programs, and now I'm a TSS and I'm in a kindergarten classroom 5 days a week. And I love it. I love being around those kids and I love sharing their lives with them. And if one of those kids, happened to fall into my care for some reason, they would be my kid. I know that. I know I would be able to treat them like my own and accept them, even though they're 5 years old and I didn't give birth to them. And that's a feeling I've never had before. I've never got the feeling from myself that I could take in a kid who I did not give birth to and treat them like my own child. But I finally have that. And it's not saying that I'm going to adopt, it's saying that I'm becoming more comfortable with it. And I think it's something that I seriously need to consider. Even if it doesn't end up that I'm going to do it, it's an option. It's something I need to look into because I don't want to make it the last option. I don't want it to be my last resort because that's not fair to me or the child. No matter how a kid is going to come into my life, it will be miraculous. It'll be wonderful because that's what I want more than anything else. And some people find that very hard to believe, but I've always known that's what I wanted. I was not the girl when I was little who dreamed about her wedding and did all that stuff. I don't think I ever gave a damn about that. I was always a little girl who wanted to take care of baby dolls and told everybody I wanted 6 kids. At this point, I would be happy with 1. But that's my ambition. That's what I want. And it's so hard this time of year seeing all the kids and seeing all the families and realizing I don't have that other than that thing that's barking right now. He acts like a baby. He's very dependent. Trust me. The thing wears a sweater. What? Does anybody expect anything less from me? Says the woman with the Borderlands poster behind her. I live an interesting life, don't I? But you know what? For the holidays, I just want to focus on what I do have. I have a husband who loves me so much, and you know, despite losing 2 pregnancies and not being able to get pregnant again in almost 2 years, you know, he's still behind me 100%. He still supports whatever decisions I make. He still helps me make the decisions we need to make together. He's wonderful, and even though I get upset with him sometimes, I know that I married the right person, and I know that we're always here for each other. That's never going to change. You know, my mother, she's been in the hospital a couple times in the past few weeks with some pretty serious issues. And, you know, she's home now. She's confused a lot. And it's hard for me to see that because I've never seen my mother in a situation like that. I've never really seen her struggling that way. And it scares me. And I haven't really admitted that before. I love my mother to death, and it's so hard to watch her not be the, like, strong, in control of everything person that she's been my entire life. I know she's still that person, but to not see her that way is tough. My dad, who's been taking care of her and has just been so strong in the face of everything, as my dad always is. Like, even just seeing him with my mom now and how he kind of has taken over all the things she would do is incredible to me. You know, for a long time, it seemed to me like my parents didn't belong together, that there was too much commotion between the two of them for them to work out. And then when you see him in this situation and see the teamwork, it's like, I get it. I get why you guys are together. It makes sense. It doesn't always make sense, but right now it does. And, you know, that's kind of a cool thing to see. So, you know, I don't want to focus on sadness or what didn't happen this year or what could happen next year, because I always say, you know, maybe this will be the year. And you know what? I'm tired of saying that, because maybe it will, maybe it won't. You know, why put these arbitrary limitations on, oh, it needs to happen this year? Like, why? Why does it need to happen this year? Just because it doesn't mean that I failed, doesn't mean that I'm broken. It just means I have to keep going. In whichever fashion it ends up being, I just have to keep going. I can be angry at the ovulation test and snap them in half, and I can, get angry and start shooting things in my video games because that's what I've been doing since I was 9 years old. I just have to keep going because there have been so many points in my life where I just stopped. And I regret some of them. And I wish I could go back and change some of them, but thinking that way doesn't help either. I just have to take that lesson from myself and say, you can't just give up. You can't just say, okay, I've done what I can, it's not working, I quit. Because that's not the kind of person I am, it's not the kind of person I want to be. So I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to be happy this Christmas, because last Christmas was awful. Thanks to losing my job and my house and having no money and everything. This Christmas doesn't need to be like that, I've improved so much since then. I've done so much. I've come so far, and I really am not giving myself credit for it. I've just focused on the things I still haven't done, and that's stupid. It hurts me even more, and I need to stop. And the dog needs to stop barking. So, this Christmas I'm just going to try to focus on positive things and how much I love my family and how much they love me, and that I have a wonderful job and a wonderful dog who never shuts the hell up. I love you, Kupo. Yeah, you're a cutie. And a cat who's vegetative and just wants to be cuddled all the time. And I have things a lot of people don't have, and a lot of people have kids that they don't want. And it is unfortunate and heartbreaking that is for me. I know that there's so much love in my heart, and one day, no matter where the kid has come from me, from someone else, off the streets, wherever, I'm going to love them, and then I'm going to want them, and they're going to have a wonderful life because I've had to work so hard for him or her to be in my life. Because I've taken no shortcuts in trying to create a family that includes children. Because I hate when people say that Kellen and I are just a couple, we're not a family. That makes no sense to me. Just because we don't have children yet doesn't mean we're not a family. We are. And I'm likely to punch the next person who says you're a couple, not a family. Yeah. Because that... When you have a dog that you dress up in sweaters, you're a family. I'm sorry. It's just true. Yeah, I think that's all I needed to get out and get off my chest. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, Joyous Kwanzaa, whatever the hell Kwanzaa is, because I still don't know. And if somebody wants to tell me, I would be really glad, because I've really always wanted to know what it's about, and just reading something about it online doesn't help. I'd like to hear from an actual person. Whatever you celebrate, if you celebrate nothing, just enjoy the season. Enjoy the snow here in beautiful Erie, Pennsylvania. As we actually have snow this year, the first year that Kellen and I have been here for Christmas, this is the first time we've had snow. Pretty excited. The dog is not so excited. He doesn't like snow. So, yeah, just, enjoy the season and enjoy all the good, happy feelings. Stay warm. Stay safe. Have fun. And I'll probably talk to you guys again in 2014. Later.